Okay, welcome everyone to the Resource Access Working Meeting. I will only talk for a few minutes. This is the meeting really for you all, and I can see a lot of familiar faces, and I'm really happy that I see you in person. And for all the others, I will give a quick introduction to Resource Access SIG and a broad invitation to come and check us out and participate. I will, for the purpose of seeing all the slides, reduce everything, but I will monitor chat. So everyone in Zoom, if you have any questions, please go ahead. Welcome. So the idea for this working session was to give a quick introduction to the SIG, invite everyone who's not already participating, and also then go ahead and watch and have a look at the gap list and talk through some gaps, really to get into the nitty-gritty of the what is missing. But let me at first, give you an introduction. This is a copy and paste from our starting page on our wiki. So the Resource Access SIG works with the POs and the developers to define essential circulation functions, like checking out and discharging library materials. It defines pattern types, loan types, file structures, recalls and holds, and also essential reporting functions. Although this is more in the reporting SIG, and I think if you want to join or are interested in reporting for Resource Access, you should absolutely check out the subgroup of the reporting SIG for this function, because they are actually actively working on queries there. And I think the Resource Access perspective is well, I don't know how needed, but I think it's well received there as well. Also, the Resource Access SIG, as any SIG in Folio, advises developers in the interaction needed between, in this case, between libraries and other parties necessary for successful sharing of resources, whether through shared consortial collections or interlibrary loan options or other mechanisms. I'm not sure how consortial or interlibrary loan is actually part of our discussions right now, but the other mechanisms is a huge part of our discussion. So this is a really formalized introduction to what we are doing. We are actually also supporting each other in our implementation efforts, and really part of the community to get the product of the circulation product of Folio running. And later on in the gap list, you will see what is still to be done to achieve this. How to get involved. This is a really slim slide because you can get involved in many different other ways, but become a SIG member is one of them. And I linked the onboarding presentation, and you can always contact Cornelia or myself for any other information. The slides will be linked in the SCAT or chat, I heard. This may be another pronunciation option. I will also post it in the Slack channel, which is maybe motivation for all of you who haven't joined yet to go. It's the Resource Access Slack channel. You can also become a product owner, which is a jump from SIG member. But the Resource Access SIG at the moment is searching for several product owners, and there's a link to how to become one, which are missing, and for example, fee fines and item states is one of the topics. Well, so two of the topics. Yeah, there are plenty other ways you can get involved in the project. For example, as a developer, but I thought since this is a working meeting for a SIG, I think these are the two main roles, and this is basically it for now. If you're a developer and want to get involved, you can also contact me, and I will direct you to the appropriate location there. All right. The next slide is already the one where we can start working, and I stop being here and present. So this is the one thing we want to work on, the gap list. The idea of this gap list was to have 3 major gaps per institution to your major pain points listed in this on this table. I will show you in a moment. And the goal is to collect and refine the features on there, and to define and refine the common circulation product, and to improve the system for all implementers and future implementers, of course. So let's get into it. Maybe I can enlarge it a little. And we already started in one of our last meetings with going through them and putting into this column status as the next steps, which gives us a sign we already discussed it and an idea what is next on it. So I thought we can just go through them again. And everywhere we have already put in a status, we will stop not do anything anymore and go on to the next one. So please stop me at any point when you have an idea you want or a gap you want to talk about. Yeah.
I have a general thought about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I have a plan. I will give you the mic.
Oh, I have something to say.
The person who talks can get into the next person who talks.
Would you have a again? I don't have a gap. But it was like it's been reordered right now. Because it was in kind of the first and last kind of it's like it's resorted by which is useful. Let's start at the beginning. Sounds good. It's only
Exactly. And I will try to take notes. I don't know.
Is the status next steps for as much as possible?
I nodded for the folks in Zoom. Yeah.
Well, I have in mind. The same will feel like that most people see given that the first step for getting these gaps closed is that someone takes ownership and moves forward.
People don't.
Oh, apologies, this is Julie Bickle, speaking PO for Internet. And yeah, so it links to like you could become a PO and I think we get this becoming a full PO for whole area, maybe a big it's a big investment, and we may not have that time or energy going into. The example here in the room is to take ownership of one particular feature. And again, even bringing it down further, I don't believe we need to learn everything that we pleasure POs do in the project. It's about learning every single thing in Jira. It may not have a development team straight away either. But at some point, I don't know, I'm looking here first when you're exposing what you want, I don't know how refined that feature is. I don't know if there's been any discussion, but if this is more where request has been stored rather than a refined and ready feature to actually develop. And I see it more, if someone wants to take ownership, again, you don't have to do it by yourself. You don't need to know how to build events, like people do that. It's about owning, conversations to be happening, that have to take place. Notes need to be taken. It's an iterative process, just even refining the future, and you can really take ownership of that. That's already a big step forward towards making it reality. Because in the debates of what birth, put it over identity. If you don't have a refined feature, the identity can't work on it.
I'm not sure. Kimmy just said that it's a bit hard to hear the audience. That's probably because the sound probably comes through my laptop.
Oh,
Not through the mic, because oh yeah, that's an idea.
Yana, maybe it's just me because no one else on the Zoom has mentioned it. So sorry. It's okay.
I'm not
I
sure.
know you're doing your best. It's okay.
No worries. We try.
Oh, somebody else said.
Okay,
It's not it's not completely terrible.
All right, I
Oh,
will.
okay.
I will try one more thing, and I will leave the meeting for that and join with another laptop. The one that is meant to be the presentation laptop. So hopefully this will be good.
Ah. Now can you give us a feedback? How's that? You speak into the mic. That's an idea. Can you hear us?
Yes, Yana, you're very clear. Now I wonder if someone from the audience would like to say something.
We will pass the mic. That will help probably.
You can see us, right?
long story short of what I said before is that gaps need owners to bring them forward. You don't need to do everything as a PO. There are other POs like myself. I'm more than happy to help you. But even just starting up, having the conversations on the content in the SIG, taking notes, formulating, refining the feature, and thinking about all possible aspects and perspectives of this feature is already an amazing amount of work. That's very helpful. Yes, apologies. I keep on forgetting to introduce myself. Yes, this is Julie. Julie Bickle, Camille, and you're unique PO in circulation for patron notices and stats.
Right, I tried to bring up the wiki page.
And so Yana's going to bring up the wiki page, and I'm handing over to Charlotte.
Yes, I'm Charlotte Bridge from Index Data. I think, do you have a priority of which of these features you are aiming for? Because I think
it is good to have when, right now we are working on the minor piece. And that conversation, I was not involved in of many reasons, because on Whistleblower, we still had with working on the movie project back then, but then she decided to for her retirement. But it is super useful if the product owner is involved in the conversation as early as possible. Sometimes I also, of course, understand that the conversation evolves and things start out in a more open conversation and then it gets scoped more. So there's a planning aspect in this as well.
So here, once we have a new payment for fees and fines, we can, because there isn't a new one, a new person since Holly's gone. But maybe I was in a session just before about productivity, and Harry Gudlinian mentioned a couple of tips for prioritizing based on business value, but also whether it's a risk and opportunity and how much work things get done. And we don't have to go through that process today, but maybe that's a good way eventually if someone wants to go through to prioritize some of these gaps as well.
So it doesn't make sense to just go and read them, just present them for a second here for the audience, and then see which one is sparking the most interest right now. Go into it. I can scroll down and read them out loud if that is helpful. So we have, if we go to the edit mode, what helps? Okay. So the first one, as we said earlier, the table is sorted by alphabetically, so no prioritization there by what comes first. And every institution who has also asked for this gap or for who thinks this is also for them, put their name here in the back. So this is how the table is basically structured. And every gap that had a JIRA, we put in also in JIRA. So the first one is anonymization of, for example, we cut data, and in the same way that non-data is now anonymized. Apologizing for not pronouncing this word correctly. Then we have the check-in, check-out performance, and there's a worry that performance times are too long, not well. Please interrupt me in the audience, and anyone who wants. Wants to talk.
I just noticed that Cornell is strike through, so they don't have this issue anymore. So, or how should I understand this?
So Tom is shaking his head, so I will give you the mic.
Not as much. I mean, it's under a threshold, which is about 3 to 4 seconds. So we're not really considering that an issue anymore. But if it could be sped up, we would definitely be for it.
And the state of .org at Chicago, just to clarify too, because I think that the cheers here are about improving speed in general. What we're seeing and what I know some other institutions are seeing are the checkout screen resetting in the middle of a patron transaction. There was a JIRA that tried to address that. It doesn't seem to have fully resolved the issue. So this might be a case where separating these out into separate rows would make sense. We could do that after the meeting.
I think that's something that I already promised.
Yes, this is Magnus. I could add, as I put our institution there as well, that it's just the second part that David mentioned with the reset that's interesting for us.
Let me correct this right now. I need both my hands to type. Right. This is a working meeting, right? We can do it right now. And maybe, should we leave this one in? And just say it's, we should revisit if any performance issue occurs. I have troubles with the so I apologize. Oh, and traveling English is not the backup. All right. The next we have on our list is define the actual cost. And before this meeting started, I heard something that other people are interested and have some solutions for their own. And I think that's also interesting because this conversation goes on, right? And yeah, I don't know. Do you want to talk about this right now, or is that something we want to?
Oh, you have the microphone.
Like, maybe, so how is that different to what we're currently? Okay, then that's cool.
I'm Rob Roos from Spokane Public Library, and what we did for actual cost was, we still own our data from the previous ILS. So we pull the cost if we can get it from that, and then we use the PL line to populate the rest. And if we have neither, we put in a cost of $300.79, and then we can do a report on everything with that cost, and then staff will go populate those, do whatever work they need to do to find a cost for those items. And so everything has a cost now, and we put it into a note field called loss charge, I think. So should someone check something out, not return it, we apply the loss charge. So that being said, I didn't do that work, but from what I hear, we could be helpful in this process. So I'll talk to people.
I thought that might be of interest for the discussion, because we said that we want to have a separate discussion on actual cost in one of our SIG meetings, and yeah, that there is more refinement needed in the JIRA and everything and the requirements here. All right, the next is the fee fine export or transfers to other systems. Yeah. I will continue reading the gaps, and if you want to extend the description in any way, if that is your gap, just give me a quick sign. Okay, the next one is bulk edit. This is in process, and we wanted to ask Magda, the PO for this feature, to come and give us an update if she has one. And to bring in some more requirements, because in the quick discussion we had, there were some issues raised that I heard. Okay, yeah.
David at Chicago again, just to capture it here, I think one of those requirements is understanding better what the permissions for bulk edit are. Because, my staff have needs to do some of this bulk edit work, but which we're currently using something built outside of Folio to do that's just using the APIs. But I would imagine that bulkhead without knowing what bulkhead permissions are, I would have concerns about just opening up, bulkheading every possible aspect of the inventory.
I will put it as interests, for perpetuity. Go ahead and change that. All right, there's a typo somewhere. Okay, I'll take a minute. So the next one is the note and staff slip refinements. There are several issues already listed, and these are in draft and need more refinement. And Julie is nodding as well, as you. Yeah, there's just some. And then there is a big one, the three-part item state. We will have also a separate discussion on that, and restart the discussion on this really, old, I would say, topic, which needs to be developed. There are several things that need to be thought.
We have been a working group working on a CDL in Norway, and part of that conversation also got stuck in that we had this need for the three-part item state. So things are kind of depending on each other.
I will add CDL as a consideration here in the gap as well. I think this discussion has to be deeply here. Okay. The next is canceling claim returns, and one gap we have in Chicago here. Then we have the automatic renewals, and I circle back to that. Here, there's no JIRA available yet. There's also something we then have to look into while we discuss that in our SIG. That's the first step in the list of many, of course, to bring it into JIRA and then put more requirements on them. Okay. Automatic renewals is also one desire you have in Chicago, right? And Marcus, you as well, and HB that has put their vote in as well. It is for now. This one is only possible via API, right? That's what you just as an explanation.
And SQL queries.
And SQL queries. All right. And we wanted functionality. The next one is claim return notices around them. The staff need to be able to send notices to patrons about the ongoing claim return search process and the final outcome. Yeah, and there's also a JIRA stream missing. Multiple items on a request notice for a single patron. That would be also something I have to put my institute in as well. Then more granular permissions, so that staff cannot see other staff members' user accounts and so on. And I think there was a proposal maybe from Aaron, and we lost that. I'm not sure. Maybe we can find it again and relink it. Yeah.
Robert at EBSCO. I did have one client that I'm working with that what they're trying to do or hoping for is, to scan a patron barcode for something like checkout and be able to see relevant patron information only for that patron, rather than to have full access to user records and do those.
And so as far as I understand, you know, if they have access to view patron records, they have access to view patron records. So it seems like it fits in there somewhere that there would be some sort of a partitioning of what type of user and what level of access, but maybe it's a different line, I'm not sure. And it's just one library I've heard from, but maybe others can relate to something like that.
No, it was more just a comments, question at the same time. It sounds also it's not just about, sorry, let me phrase this differently, one step back. As far as I'm aware, looking at people in the room who are also active in other areas, permissions aren't based on the content of the data, but on like, can you see users' information, regardless of which user it is, right? If I understood you properly there, it's also you can only see some users, for example, based on patron group or something like that. Is that what you explained, or is it just
It's the individual user whose barcode is out there.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, okay. So it's instead of going to the app, you just see. So if you search, for example, for, sorry.
I don't even know how it works, I think.
Okay.
So this is Susan Kimball from Amherst College. The way I understood it is that for anybody to be able to use checkout, you need full access to users. You need full view access to users. And the way I understood your requirement for your institution was that it would be great if you didn't have to have full access to users to be able to check out. So you only really need a barcode. You just need to be able to access the very top level. You don't need to even be able to go into the user's app to check out a book. Technically, you shouldn't be able to see what else the user has out, or I'm not saying everyone would make that choice, but it's just that to have a student check out a book, they don't necessarily need the keys to the kingdom. And right now it's not granular enough, so I think that could be added to this line, right?
Tom from Cornell. I think part of the issue is that this will require a fundamental change in the way permissions are handled in Folio. Because my understanding of, and the reason why you get full access to user app is it's using the user app permissions to get the data into circulation. Where there's nothing in circulation, it's kind of pulling the information in the background and then redisplaying, and so those permissions are kind of passed through. Not saying that it couldn't be done, but it would have to change the mindset of how they deal with permissions in general.
Yeah, just following up on that, I mean, I also, it's not clear to me, I'm sorry, stated from Chicago again. It's not clear to me if they're saying that they only want to be able to view the relevant information as displayed in the checkout app, or if this is actually about being able to view the larger user record, but only if you have the user's barcode in front of you. In which case that feels, to me, like enough of an edge case that maybe that's something that gets developed locally rather than as something that's built into Folio that's just using the API that says, here's a simple thing, you can pull up the barcode, it'll give you access to the data, and then you don't have any of the Folio navigation to get into the rest of the user's app. It's just not entirely clear to me what the use case is there. That feels different from the use case that Susan was talking about of, I want to be able to check out something, but I don't want to be able to get into anything else.
I'm also struggling to write down the use case. So that also is probably my fault, but maybe you can think about it, and if you want, this is open to everyone, so just go ahead and put it in. But I quickly wanted to explain a bit more about what I meant by staff can see other staff users, and what we think should be also, but that's probably also a use case for the users management more than it is for resource access, is to more strictly separate staff and users. To have, for example, a flag or whatever it is technically called, or to restrict on a higher level the access to staff users and to patrons. So for example, a systems administration person has no business in the patron data, and the other way around, the racist exit staff should not have access to, but there is a permission for that, I think, in place, yeah. But for other things as well,
No, it's just a little comment to add, just that I can't remember in which Slack channel it was, but I think it was David Bridges from Acquisitions who was asking a question somewhere about use cases, whether users and staff should be separated more. I don't know the background, I didn't really follow, but it's just FYI for people in the group, there seems to be a similar conversation going somewhere else. I believe it's got to do with consortia, something like that. Sorry? It was in the user management. Okay, so just for those who are interested in this topic, they're, chime into that as well.
I know that there is one person also here. She's in the user management SIG and will bring that probably then forward for us. All right, but this comes from this place, just more strictly, not granular. Put in the separation. And very selfishly, we had a lot of time at this gap, so I will go on with the next one. So the automatic printing process is one thing that is something that we would like to see. A printing administration, printing screens properly, like not the browser printing, which is often not nice, but and like a logging system and so on. So this would be a grid for us. There's also a legal requirement for some of our university libraries. So this is what we want to see. I think printing in general is talked about in every direction as well. So this is something that is not only a thing for research exits. So.
Yeah, so being in the area, this is Julie again speaking, being in the area of flat slips printing comes up regularly. We did reach a point, saying that essentially when you're in the browser, printing automatically from a browser is difficult. Not impossible, but from within Folio itself, it's difficult. And due to my time limitations, I kind of left it there. And two comments and that have also come up for me. I'm hoping generally that SIGs, as well as from your first slide, it's not just about thinking of requirements for future development, but it's a place where we can ask questions, how are other people dealing with topics? And I don't know how it can look like, but also collect alternative solutions. I've heard the word barnacle be used, I really like it, I like that, speaking of your jargon. Alternative solution. And I know that there are institutions out there who, if not have a solution finished, or working on something that's got to do with that. And I'm hoping, at least for my area of ownership, to collect, if not the details of how these solutions work, at least the high level, here's a sentence of what the use case is and here's the contact person, so that maybe that works for habit sets and fact colleges, maybe not, but at least you're hopefully not all reinventing the wheel, or we're not all reinventing the wheel, several wheels in all our different corners.
Thank you. I mean, this is also a gap that is in here to talk about, and I think this is how we should go with this gap list as well. So everything you think is really important for your institution, put it in, and we can discuss it and exchange ideas about that. And the best case scenario is the gap is removed here because there is a solution already in place. So I think that would be a perfect thing. All right. So don't hesitate to put things in, even if you think it's a small one or maybe not relevant for others, do it anyways. Okay, the next, and I think almost through the list, is on the request side, filter requests by item, effective location. And I see a lot of institutions being interested in that. and needs a separate discussion as well, I think, yeah. Okay, next is, sort by, in the request area as well, sort fixes by call number. That is something that was, requested in the last meeting, or one of the last meetings. Then recall requests need to alter notice policies. Yeah. Interrupt me, I will move on. User search performance. That is also frustrating, right? A huge amount of data and then or not huge, right? There's not as many data. Okay. Then we have the reading room only checkout, which is when I look at the institutions, the German thing as well. Oh,
You can add Chicago.
I can add Chicago. Yay, I will do that.
I need to take a closer, I don't know if you can hear me. I need to take a closer look at it. I need to take a closer look at this, but we do have a small edge case of all of our interlibrary loan activity is integrated with Folio. And so we have the small subset of materials that the lending institution have indicated have to be building use only. And the integration creates a request in Folio for the patron and notifies them they can come and they can get that item. But once that request is fulfilled, it's fulfilled, and so there's no way to track if they still need it. And so when I was looking at this, it seemed very much relevant to our needs there.
I think the Library of Congress is working on reading room functionality as well.
My understanding in talking with Ellie is that their reading room management app is not this. It's really about issuing credentials and like hard access. It has nothing to do with sort of circulating materials. It's they might not be interested in this, but yeah, I wish.
I mean, for any library use rare materials, you can only read them in a specific environment. This is something that might be interesting because the idea here is to have a continuous lending, a loan situation inside the library, and really simplified is put it in the shelf for the person so that I can read it 1 week or 2 days from now. So yeah, so
I'm starting major issues. Has anyone brought up the idea of Folio creating an app for preservation work? Like there's Aon, the way Chavez makes, which tracks the life cycle of things in preservation, but this sounds like something that would be part of that app. But there's also other things that came up, like things for special collections, things that are about storage and special collections. There's special collections is a huge amount of what libraries do. It kind of makes sense that this could be a natural extension of Folio.
And just to push back on that a little bit, Tom, or verify, I think that the special collection stuff I think makes absolute sense. I wonder if the preservation work really makes more sense in the 3-part item state, where we're talking about the process status and the ability to build out, sort of sub-steps within a process status, where that would be something different than an actual sort of checkout. But the special collection stuff, I agree entirely.
and I can see that being relevant for so the 3-part item state being relevant for the reading room feature as well. So yeah, it's all interconnected. Our gaps are necessary. Yeah, that's the thing.
I added one up at the top because I'm late to the game on the gap list. And this is one that is about, it's up in notices, the ability to text notices, which I know is an idea very long ago. I'm sorry, Julie. But there actually is a JIRA for the form formatting that Darcy did way back in the day. But I'm assuming it's more than the format that needs to be developed to be able to get that functionality. So if folks think that is, feel free to add anything to that, or if people are also looking for that. We are mostly, it's notices, we're mostly looking for real-time kind of, not on the batch notices that get done every 24 hours, but the real-time notices for, especially things for short-term loans, courtesy notices for reserves. We have gone the way of badgering by notices instead of overdue fines. So we can badger more effectively by text.
No, cheers, this is Julie again. I'm using this again as a great opportunity. So yes, I'm very aware, there's a lot of this, my backlog is very long and my hours are very limited, and I apologize to everyone, right? I've been focusing then more on documentation and problem solving, and then I do feature new features as and when I can. But this is an excellent example of, you know, feel free to add that use case like to the feature, because already I can think it's an important detail to understand this indeed for live real-time notices, or for very limited use cases, for example, and then people can build on that. And that's a good example where at least if people want to help me with the patron notices and staff slips, and you see a lot of the issues that I have time is doing a lot of this requirement discussion work up front. Another example I just saw here, if you scroll up a bit further, I can't remember, it was sorting staff slips by call number. Exactly. I can't remember where it was. Like, I know, like, because it's got pick slips, it could end up on my plate, and that's okay. But it's like, okay, where do you get the effective call number? Is it already in the table? Like, there are so many things to think about before you actually come to probably that particular request. And part of the call for me of ownership is that is also time. And if someone can own having that conversation, organizing the conversations and the talks to get this information, and then I can serve as a consultant to help you getting it in the right place, in the right format in Jira, and then also helping with, once it gets picked up by someone, all the, the logistics of the project, of the software development, I can help you with that. But if someone wants to take ownership of the conversations, getting the use cases, I can help you with the logistics accordingly.
Thanks, yeah, for all the features here, and let us know as readers if you want to get on the agenda and talk about it. So that's really best and forward here. Yeah.
I feel like I'm monopolizing the microphone, but I'm gonna take advantage. One other gap that's not on here that I haven't had a chance to add, and I'm gonna take advantage of the fact that Spokane is in the room, is the SIP2 functionality for self-checkout. So we're currently using the code that Gordon from Spokane developed because SIP2 was not ready. And I know there has been some progress there on the main branch, but it feels like I'm always nervous when we have these sort of split branches of code that should just be fundamentally, integrated into Folio itself. And every time we, upgrade, then it's another opportunity for things to break. So I just wanted to get that on the roadmap. Possibly for future discussion, it would be helpful to hear from the SIP2 product owner what they're doing right now. Like, I know Gordon has shared his work with that group and with that product owner, but I have no idea where they sort of are.
This is Julie again, maybe just a few thoughts and things I know to wrap up the conversation. I had in my head that Tim Augers, I think, is the official PO for SIP2. I think it's Tim Auger, I can't remember how it's pronounced.
Yeah, Tim Auger, Auger. I worked on a story with him. I'll just put it in the chat on SIP2. This is Kimi.
indeed technically the PO for SIG 2?
Yeah.
Still? Yeah, exactly, yeah. Okay, so that's like just one piece of info, and the second was more just a comment, as you said, David, about having, I think your comment was like, it would be good if what Gordon did essentially got into the main release. Again, I can help with that in the sense of I know the processes, like know where you can find the information so that things are added into the release. If someone again wants to take the ownership to make that happen, I can help you along the way.
Charlotte wanted to say something.
I know some new work is happening for mines.
You have to go closer.
No, it's during closer.
No, it's not.
Okay, so new work is happening for mines, and Linköping is involved in that as well. And it is to be, loaded into the new Bauer release. I'm not the PO for that, but Jakob Scotchen, you can invite as well to give an update.
So this is Magnus again. So I know that the checking response for sorting and stuff like that is almost done. We're trying it out as well. And I'm not sure what other parts they are working on, but I know they're working on information response for users for renewals and stuff like that.
So this is on the list now. It's just a note, and we can put in anything we would need, and this list will be discussed in the next meetings. So everyone who wants to join the discussions, wants to bring up new gaps or just talk about them, come and we will forward the gap discussions on the agenda, and we think we have 6 minutes left, so I want to open the stage for anyone who wants to any last words or has an idea how to bring this forward. I think the idea, Julie, you brought up is something we should then have. Maybe we should add a column. I think we already said that, with a name or somebody who wants to take over. And this sounds big, but taking over some of the responsibility, not all of it. So, yeah. All right, then I'll.
Was there anything in chat? I can't tell.
No, I think the chat was. I was monitoring it sometimes. It's just. Yeah, I think very good there. But of course, you in Zoom are also welcome to any last words if you want. All right. And I will just say it was lovely seeing you, or it's lovely seeing you all here, and I hope to see you soon in our next WOLFcon, of course, but in our SIG meetings, of course. So thank you all, and yeah.